I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to the conversation with Al McFarlane. I'm glad to be here and glad to have you along. Take a minute and let somebody know that we're having a conversation. We always promise to deliver robust conversations. I guarantee you this will be the same. And we'd love to have you involved in the conversation as well. We're building community conversation by conversation. Your voice is important. Your voice matters. You can join the conversation by simply sending a comment on any of the platforms we're streaming to. We're streaming to two channels on YouTube, the Insight News channel, also the Black Press USA channel. We're streaming to Twitter, Facebook, and to LinkedIn. And no matter how you're connecting, we are appreciating you, your time, your involvement. We want to make sure that your voice is part of the conversation. Just leave a comment in the comment section and we can talk to you. If you want to be on the program, just drop a note in the comment, and if we can, we'll send you a link and get you involved as well. Let me begin with an announcement that's an important one. This November, we have a clear choice for who's truly fighting for our community in Minnesota. Democrats have ensured our children are fed in school. They've raised wages and protected workers. They've protected reproductive rights and expanded access to affordable housing. They've capped insulin prices, made college more affordable, and invested in small business owners, creating new paths to success. This Tuesday, November 5th, vote for the party that stands with you. Vote Democrat. Paid for by the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, www.dfl.org. Thanks to them. That's the message. That's the message of the hour. And you know what? Today, we want to jump into the immediacy of the hour, and that is the election. I'm pleased to have two friends and leaders in community, two people committed to your voice and your political empowerment to talk about things they are doing right now, right here in Minnesota. But I think what they're doing is being replicated around the country. And if you're involved in any activity to encourage voter participation, pay attention to this. Capture this conversation, share it, invite people to stand up, stand out, show up, show out by making their voice count in the election on next Tuesday. Please welcome my friend Marquita Stevens. She is the president of the Urban League of Twin Cities, and Shamika Bogan. Now, Shamika, you and I work on half a different projects, so I'm not sure the right one to introduce you. There it is. It's in your souls to the polls.
No
but
worry.
but like all of us, we wear a half a dozen hats, all of them leading our people to freedom. And Shamika, I thank you for all the great work you do. Marquita, thank you for all the great you do, leading a legacy institution, the Urban League of Twin Cities. Well, let me jump right in. Marquita, let me ask you first, what's going on? Because you are hosting early voting. Tell people about it. How do they vote early? Why is it important? And what kind of response has there been so far? And what do we want to happen in the next hours, days until election?
That's a lot. That's a lot. Is we are pleased to host this once again, the be an early voting site for the residents of the city of Minneapolis. It's been a steady stream of people, which I've been really pleased to see. You can vote not only inside the building, but you can drive up and vote. If you have some mobility issues, you can vote by phone. There is no reason you can't vote in this year's election. And so we're trying to do everything we can and cooperate with other entities that are pushing souls to the polls to make sure as many people get involved as possible. I personally made some calls to some pastors to make sure that they were pushing it this last Sunday, because this is the last Sunday prior to the election day. And so people may not know that they can vote on Sunday. They can vote on Saturday. We're open 5 days a week to early voting. So we're hoping that they make a final purge to really go all out and step up and take advantage of the opportunity as an American citizen that's afforded them.
Urban League, let's give some addresses so people who might not know where you are, tell them how to get their phone numbers, they have to call to get more information, and go over in detail the three different methods you use. That's great information, but let's break them each down so that if somebody's not clear, they leave this conversation with clarity and
Mhm.
prepare to vote.
You can vote every day this week up until Monday, November 4th.
Mhm.
So we'll go until Monday, November 4th. And that the weekend is till 3 o'clock. It's 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. So you can come anytime during that time period. And then on the weekdays, it's until 5. It'll be till 5 on Monday. It's till 6 today and the rest of the week. So there's ample time for you to get off from work and come, as well as, incorporate it as part of your Saturday or Sunday activity. So I think there's a lot of forethought in terms of the hours that are available for people to vote. The Urban League is located at 2100 Plymouth Avenue North. It's right on the corner of Penn and Plymouth, right in the heart of North Side. You've got North Point Wellness Center on one corner, Estes on another corner, and the 1256 building on the other corner. So you can't miss it. There's a bus stop right in front. So it's really accessible for everybody. And this is open to any resident of the city of Minneapolis. So whether you live in the north or the south or the east or the west of Minneapolis, you can vote here early.
So I drive by your building probably 4 or 5 times a day. I live 3 blocks from you. This is my neighborhood, and I love my neighborhood. And I always kind of watch what's going on, how many cars are in the Year Rock parking lot, how many cars in the Urban League parking lot, what kind of traffic is in and out of North Point Health and Wellness, their parking lots. And there's so much vitality going on. But I noticed, I noticed there's a tent in the parking lot adjacent to your building that's associated with this activity. Tell me what's going on there.
That's where you could drive up and vote. So there are workers there that will allow you to drive to the tent, and they will service you there, and then you can turn around in the parking lot and leave.
You can stay in your car.
You can stay in your car.
They're going to bring the ballot to you.
There is no excuse. We have made it as easy as possible.
And then they're guaranteeing that your vote, what's important, we're reading the news about what's happening in Oregon and Washington State, where people with the best of intentions have been going and dropping their early ballots off at collection sites, only to discover that some miscreants are vandalizing some, in a felonious way, depriving people of their constitutional right by destroying the ballots. So the beauty of what you're doing is that you've got bodies, people there. And if a person has a mobility, or some of us are still really ultra cautious about COVID and we just don't want to be in crowds, and you have sort of made it made it possible for people to be at ease, to be safe, to feel safe, and to be connected to and served by residents of our community who are assuring you that your voice really is that important. Your vote is of supreme importance. They want to make sure that you know that your vote counted. So drive up is one way. They can come in the building. What happens if you walk in the building? What's going on if you walk in the door? Your building, number one, let me say this. The building is the Gary Sudduth Center for Economic and Community Development. That name speaks volumes about the intent and the history, the legacy of both our community and of the Urban League as an organization. So people can come and walk inside the Gary Sudduth Center for Economic and Community Development. And what do they find?
It's really a friendly and welcoming atmosphere. I must hand it to the city staff that is facilitating this activity. They have a couple of volunteers there right at the front desk, and then they have some other people that are working the polls to service the clientele that comes through. And of course, there's our own staff that's at the front desk for any other questions that someone might have, while they're in the building about maybe what we do or how they may get help in other places, etc. So it's really a very welcoming atmosphere. People speak to each other and the like. So they'll find it easy if they are uncertain at all. They'll find a welcoming atmosphere where people are willing to embrace them with whatever questions they may have.
And you mentioned that people can use their phone. I hadn't heard of that. How does that work? Where you can call in? How
Yeah,
does that happen?
when you drive up in the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
those same people will direct you as to how to vote by phone.
Okay.
And it's designed for those who have mobility issues. So it's not designed for everybody
Mm-hmm.
to come up and vote by phone. But if you have mobility issues, then it's difficult for you to get out the car.
Sure.
Then you can arrange to vote by phone.
Awesome. So it's a special accommodation.
Mhm.
So I drive, like I said, up and down Plymouth Avenue several times a day. And on Sundays, last Sunday, I saw a crowd of people in the parking lot of the UROC offices on there. Shamika, I think that's your territory, right? What was going on? And talk about welcome, first of all. Talk about Souls to the Polls, Minnesota.
Yes, we were having our annual Souls to the Polls block party. You know, as Marquita mentioned, it is all hands on deck with calling people and reminding our friends and our family and our neighbors to get out and get those souls to the polls. And so typically each election cycle, we have 2 block parties that happen, which line up with the Urban League's 2 voting Sundays. And so that's intentional to get people out, give them some free food from Pimento. Everybody loves Pimento's cooking, but get them some free food and tell them to get out there and exercise their civic right to vote. And so this past Sunday was block party number 1. This next coming Sunday is block party number 2. And we're excited. You know, it's a mix of a lot of different faith leaders, typically the Black clergy in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, Robbinsdale, all the close nearby areas that have members that live in the Minneapolis area, to come out and just come together, fellowship, have food, and then go vote collectively together.
Let me put both of you guys on the spot a little bit, Marquita and Shamika. I was really upset, disheartened, and angry at the post on social media from uh, Pastor Donnie, what's his name? Donnie Schwaggart. And this is a white guy. And from my point of view, I guess he presents himself as a evangelical. From Al McFarlane's point of view, I call him a white Christian nationalist. He may not like that title, but that's how he sounds to me. That's how he looks to me, and that's what I'm calling him. And he went on his platform, in my mind, bullying Black people, denigrating Black people, being classic white racist, arrogant, in effect, demanding that Black people disavow the voice of Black clergy leaders who had encouraged Black people to vote for the Harris-Walz poll. They went as far as to say that to vote for Harrison Walz was, in a sense, voting for the devil, that this ballot was working for the Antichrist. That sickens me. And it sickens me because I'm looking at a white man, the son, the grandson, the inheritor of the systems of enslavement, of brutality. And so this is like, um, somebody chastising the liberating and the healing force in my experience, my community, my church community, my faith tradition, that I know was the foundation and the conduit for our unending resistance to the evil of slavery. So here's the slave master's son saying to the sons and daughters of the enslaved, don't listen to your mother, don't listen to your father, listen to me, because your mother, your father, and your church are doing the work of the Antichrist. You know, that I call that cracker talk, and it makes me sick. What do we do about that? And don't answer if you don't want to. I'm just telling you where I am.
Absolutely. Marquita, do you want to go first, or do you want me to jump?
I can. It reeks of, white supremacy, the white supremacist point of view, which we are familiar with. We now have words that are, I would imagine, I would say more polite words to say as we call out that kind of thinking. I think it's the thing that has characterized this whole election process, even more so than it did when Obama ran, in my recollection. And I don't know what that says about the country, but there's a different mood and that this election is bringing forth. And it makes what we do as a African-American legacy, as a Black legacy organization, all the more relevant, all the more important. It makes it describes why there's so much fear associated with this election. And so we just have to stand on guard against that. We have to, as one of our, I did an exercise recently that was actually board generated that asked, what is the Urban League's value proposition? Mm-hmm. So I went around and asked the different staff about that. And one of them said something that was profound in addition to whatever else he said was, the city needs a hero. And that's what we are. And so you have to stand in the face of this kind of rhetoric, which has just felt as though it could be public, use the public airways, where it used to be more of the, what they colloquially refer to as the down low. It used to be underground, that kind of thing. Now there are emboldened with some of the rhetoric, and as a result of some of the rhetoric of the campaign. And so that makes voting all the more important, because with your vote, you're centering whether or not you believe this is the rhetoric that we should all live under, or if we should live under a different, more humane kind of ideology moving forward in this country. As one young person actually that voted, you're talking about, I don't remember what they call the 30-year-olds now, but that X, Y, whatever the thing is, that group of people.
Millennial.
That group of people. I was never so proud as to hear them say that that how democracy is really on the ballot, to paraphrase what they're saying. And they said that and that the vote is more important to center and to vote for the way we are going to live in this country from this day forward than it is about saving 20 cents a pound on a bunch of bananas. Mm-hmm. You're not voting for bananas going from 69 cents a pound to 49 cents a pound. You're voting for the ability to live as free people from here on out.
And we're not going back. As a corollary, before you answer, Shamika, I watched the news this morning a few minutes ago, as a matter of fact, maybe on CNN or one of the Black commentators on YouTube. I think it was Tabitha Speaks. Tabitha is a commentator, excellent. I recommend her to everybody. But hitting the nail on the head, she pointed out something that happened in the past hours in Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida. A group of white boys, the oldest of which, the ringleader, 18 years old, had with him some 16 and 15-year-olds. They drive up to a polling station, shouting pro-Trump and anti-Harris slogans and carrying machetes, at least a machete, and carrying Trump flags. And they get out and go and confront people who are at the polling station properly, legally, who have signs encouraging people to vote for their choice, but these are Harris supporters, and they are almost intimidating. So the people and the person that was being interviewed, who was one of the victims of this harassment, was a white woman who said, we called the police right away. Police showed up and arrested them, and they have charged. Maybe it happened 2 days ago because the boy has been charged. Dummy that he is, he had 16, 15-year-olds with him. He's an adult. He's getting charged with the felony. Hopefully, they'll elevate the standing or status of the 15, 16-year-olds as well, so they can be accountable for what they're doing. Because what you don't want this to be is dismissed as kids being kids. They had a machete or machetes, and they were intimidating people and intimidating around their basic right to choose, intimidating them in their exercise of their constitutional right. And it should not be accepted, and hopefully it will not be. Shamika, so what do you think? How does community in general, pastors and church leaders in particular, how do they respond to not only the white Christian nationalist church, but also bad actors in the MAGA universe?
Yeah. I agree with like the statement that you just made, that it should not be dismissed as just like, oh, this is a normal thing. There are some bad apples out there that are really putting out things that are a huge deal. When you start twisting and turning the word of God, especially from a pastoral perspective, I'm not a pastor, but from like a faith-based perspective, I think that is really, it's already dangerous territory, but it gets even more choppy there because you're twisting it and using it as a weapon. And so you're weaponizing it to make people feel a certain way or to guilt people into that. And I think that's really sad. So I too am sickened by that. I think it's terrible. I did hear that same thing that you're talking about. And I think that it's been something that's been there for a while that pastors have been reacting to. And people have been reacting to. And I think it's just unfortunate to say that, like that any particular party is, a devil party or something like that. I just think that that's absurd that pastors would think that that's even okay to put that out there at all. Additionally, anytime you're bullying someone, just how you mentioned the people with the machete and doing this, those are not, I don't know when we became, I'm in my 30s, so I'm that millennial group, but I don't know when we became like a society where like bullying is how we get things across. And I think that if the tables were turned and there were Black people that were doing this, people would be under the jail, in the jail. Oh no, we're trying you as an adult. I just think that goes with that unfairness of what's going on with this. And when it comes to, one of the things that I've told people that have asked me, like, who should I vote for? What's your opinion? I tell people, flashback to January 6th. I think that even if you are not a person that is super political or into politics and those things, just if you believe in just democracy and we live in America, watch some of those clips. There's nothing about that. First of all, when you have a person that incites that type of stuff from people that's supposed to be like one of our world leaders, that is a huge red flag of maybe this is not the person that should be like running the United States. Secondly, when you see the video of the people breaking the glass and, knocking down the fencing and the gates and the disregard for, the people that were there that were working, like they have families, they were gone to work that day. The thought of like, okay, I might not be going home in protecting the White House from people that are here in America. Like that's scary. And so I just think that for me, that makes it an obvious choice when it comes to that. The thought of giving a person that would incite things like that back power, and then think about all of the people that think like that person. I personally grew up in the South. So I grew up in Alabama. So I know that there are still people to this day that think like that don't think that we should have rights, don't think we should be in leadership roles, don't think any of those things. Think about what that looks like when you tell those people you're absolutely right. They shouldn't be there. They're trying to take over. That is a scary place to be and not a place that I want to be. And so I think it's terrible and it is just a stain on democracy. And I think all around it's just a scary situation. And the choice should be really obvious as to why we have to really step up and vote and advocate and make sure that our friends and families and neighbors and all of these people are doing the same, because there's a lot on the line. I feel like I know that said every election cycle. I personally used to be one of those people that was like, here they go again with this political stuff. But this is a serious thing. There is a lot on the line, and it is a big deal that we have to take on as our responsibility.
Let me pull up Monday's edition of Inside News, which is actually hitting the newsstands today. Cooper, pull it up. And I think, Shamika, you're in this. Yeah, there you are on the front page. If you can make that larger, Cooper, the bottom story. Two things. One, the top is a good story. Talk about, if you want to, the Project 2025. That's the lead story, the cover story. But also, Shamika, you were part of an important conversation on our broadcast on KFAI last Tuesday. The headline and report of that story is Faith, Power, and Politics, Black Clergy Mobilized for Election Impact, Part 1. And inside the paper, Part 2 is there. But you and members of His Works United, esteemed pastors from leading congregations in Twin Cities, made it clear that our voice, our votes matter, and you and we must do all we can do to ensure that we have the best, the biggest turnout. And what the polls are showing in Minnesota right now is that the Harris Walsh team has expanded its lead. So we're hoping that it grows even further so that there's a blowout. And we hope that happens in other states as well, particularly the battleground states, because this election is going to be decided by a few. Scroll down or up, Cooper, if you would. One of the critical issues facing all of us is something that we are joining others in explaining, Project 2025. And if you don't know what that is, you've heard about it, get a copy of Insight News. Like I said, it's being distributed to our newsstands today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. This is a breakdown. This is an article that comes from the American Civil Liberties Union. And you need to know what the evil intent of this group is. It's the Heritage Foundation, and they have a blueprint for rolling it back, putting us in a situation that we are not going to accept. The challenge and the problem is they are ginning up this MAGA base. And what I'm hearing too often in too many places is that this group, if it wins the election, and it won't, if they win, they've had a team, think tank, planning on how to gut everything that you and I would consider sacred and progressive, and to roll it back by, first of all, taking all the jobs away from people that have instigated or been instruments of progressive policy over the past generation. They've got people that are ideologues lined up, ready to go in and do lockstep in rolling back and denying and putting things back into a space where white supremacy is the order of the day and it's the official business of the state. Now, they've been playing that for a number of years, but they wrote it down. It's a 900-page document. This is one of the short synopses. So read this, Project 2025 Explained. But in addition, I fear that they are prepared to, if they don't win, declare that once again, the election was stolen. And they are looking, Shamika, at January 6th as simply the practice run, trial run. They've got an agenda and a plan to execute, creating disunity, disruption. I've heard them say they're prepared to go back to civil war, to resist the will of the people if they don't consider the election results legitimate. and to take it to the streets. I'm scared on the one hand. On the other hand, I know we not going back. Any final thoughts on this, Shamika?
I agree. I think the biggest thing is just putting the action behind that we're not going back. We have a way of fighting without fists and fighting, with our knowledge. And I think that it is important that we really put action steps behind that to make sure that we are not going back.
Marquita, thoughts?
I think it's important to understand the depth of this emotion that is associated with what you just described. This heresy, this hatred is passed down through family systems. We think things ended when Bull Connor died. It did not. Bull Connor has cousins and etc., uncles, and it's passed down through family systems. And so you're really talking about disturbing something that they have long held as a belief. Much like we hold dear democracy, freedom, etc., and we search for that. So I think we have to understand that and then be prepared in the same way that Shamika just described.
Marquita Stevens, Shamika Bogan, thank you both for being here. Thank you for the work that you do, and keep up the good work. Keep coming back as often as you wish. What you're doing is so important, and we are so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm Al McFarlane. This is The Conversation with Al McFarlane. My guest, excellent. And we're going to continue with the same level of intensity and, I believe, integrity in the second part of the program. My colleague, W.D. Foster Graham, is here. He's the book review editor for Insight News, and he's got an author who we want to have a conversation with. Brother W.D., good to see you. How you doing, man?
Good to see you too, Al. I'm glad to be here one more time.
Awesome. Why don't you introduce our guests and let's get this party going.
I'd be most happy to. And our guest author today is Brother King O-Haji Moncrief. He is a multi-talented artist hailing from the southern states of Mississippi and Georgia. And despite his New Jersey upbringing, he remains deeply connected to his cultural roots in the South. And his love for writing and acting is only matched by his devotion to spending time with his loved ones. And with each new story he shares, there's always more to discover about King O-Haji. So stay tuned and keep delving into his vivid imagination and captivating tales. So I bring to you King O-Haji Moncrief.
Welcome, welcome. How you doing, man?
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. No complaints.
What part of Mississippi are you from?
Laurel, Mississippi.
Well, my mom's family is from Sunflower, Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sunflower. And my wife's family is from Crystal Springs, which is near Jackson.
Okay.
So I'm deep in the Mississippi and,
Yeah, you are.
and loving it,
Yeah.
Great people, great place. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to be the sidekick with WD and participate as a support actor in this conversation. WD, take it away.
I'll be happy to. So, King, it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you.
Had the opportunity to meet with you in Atlanta for the Artist in the Afternoon event that he had there.
Yes.
So tell us, what have you been up to since then?
Well, I've been writing part 2 to my book that I had at Artist in the Afternoon. So I've been busy working on that, and I'm actually stressing about it because I wanted it to be out in November, but it's not finished yet. So that's not going to happen.
Well, hey, as an author, we know certain things don't always happen according to plan, but that doesn't mean that they won't happen.
Exactly.
So now I got the privilege of reviewing your book, Liar, which is the acronym for Love is a Religion.
Yes.
So I'd like to ask you too, what happened to you in your life that inspired you to write this book?
Well, basically, we all have experienced heartbreak. We all have experienced somebody ghosting us and we're not knowing why. We're blaming ourselves. Our self-esteem goes really, really, really low. We're asking ourselves what I should have did or what I could have said, and that's what inspired that. That's what inspired me to write Liar. It was a dark moment in my life where I was in love with someone, and they ghosted me, and I didn't know how to deal with it at the time, and it was just a very dark and lonely moment for me. I could have involved my friends, I could have involved family, but I'm a very private person. So for me to even write the book is amazing for me because my friends like you wrote a book about it, so and you're so private. But in the midst of writing my book, it was very healing, and to have people to be able to relate to my book and to the situations, it made me even more happy, and it was a confirmation that I needed to write the book.
That is powerful. So I'd ask you now, since you wrote it now, is everything in the book true or a part of it or some of like artistic license? Tell us.
Well,
It's about
let me jump in here because
oh,
no, I haven't read the book. You have, but you got to give us a synopsis.
Yeah.
Either WD or King, one of them got. So that way, that question you just asked will make sense, right?
Okay.
Okay,
King, you do the honors.
okay. Well, I'm going to read right from the back of the book. Okay.
perfect, perfect.
This My book is based on a character. The main character's name is Chase Kelly. He's a tall, handsome man with sharp features and an air of success about him. As a best-selling author, he has achieved everything he could have ever dreamed of: fame, fortune, and the adoration of his fans. Yet, despite all this success, there is one thing that eludes him, and that's love. Chase lives and breathes love, preaching its importance to anyone who will listen. He wears his heart on his sleeve, but when it's shattered by heartbreak, will he still stand by his unwavering belief in love? Will he be able to withstand the pain of this heartache? Or will it consume him and transform him into a darker version of himself?
So, what happened in the book? What are the things that, if you deal with that question, did you heal from everything that happened in the book? What happened?
Well, it took me many years to heal from everything that happened in the book. Many years. Went to some therapy sessions as well, and had some sessions with my friends. And um, I don't want to give you too much of the book, but it's it's right here, so you guys get to see the cover and everything. Um, Basically, what happened in the book, I met someone and they blew my mind, like
Hmm.
blew it open. So that
Mhm.
like I've never experienced anything like that in my life ever. And they catered to me. They made me feel like a king, which I am a king.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it was just such a mind blowing situation, and I never had that before. And then they took it away
Hmm.
and disappeared. And it's like my body was craving that. Like it became like an addiction. Like I needed that high again. Like the person made me feel like I was on cloud nine. Like it was like a natural high, and I missed that, and I needed that. And they just brought out a side of me that I never even knew existed. And they ghosted me, and I couldn't get over the person. So I reached out to the person again. They came back into my life. They disappeared again, and you know how it goes.
That is, yeah. I wonder in the healing process, how do you heal from dealing with someone who is emotionally unavailable?
Time. As you grow and you realize, it's not you. And also, you never know what that person is going through. You never know their childhood traumas. They could have went through a lot of things that you really don't know about. So I don't even blame him. It's I still have love for him. I have love for both of my exes. I don't. I actually talk about both of my exes in this book, but I still love them. Because I feel like once you love someone, that never really goes away. And although I went through what I went through with them, it made me a stronger person. It made me a better person,
Mhm.
and it actually helped me write this book. So I'm not complaining.
Do we have a graphic of the book cover, Cooper? If we don't, I'm going to ask you just hold it up. Or do you have a PDF of the cover? We'd like to share that. There we go. Okay, it's a beautiful cover.
Thank you.
Mhm. And so I always ask our guests to tell their personal story. And if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you the question. Spirit of the question is, all of us are standing on the shoulders of people that preceded us in our family and our community. And I would love to get a sense of who King O-Haji Moncrief is, uh, what in the history, the DNA, the genealogy poured into making you the king that you are today. Let me say that differently. Who's your mama? Who's your daddy? Who's your granddaddy? Who are all them people,
Mhm.
that made you the person that you have become? What's the story?
Okay, I can
Is,
say that.
is, is that a fair question?
It's a fair question, and a question that I love to answer, and it's probably going to take a long time for me to even explain. But the most inspirational person in my life, and will always be, would be my mother.
Mm,
And she passed in 2019,
sorry.
but she never gave up. She was a devout Christian. She believed in God. She loved people no matter how they treated her. She would give the shirt off her back, and she never gave up, no matter what sickness she was dealing with, no matter what heartache she was dealing with. She just kept going. And she always told me, no matter what happens in life, just keep going, because things will happen in life. But what are you going to do? Just sit there? What are you going to do? Just lay there and just let it happen? No, get back up, keep going, and you will come out bigger and better. Every day is not going to be a good day, but you're going to have more good days than bad days.
Mm,
And, no matter what my mother went through, no matter how much pain she was in, she had 2 total hip replacements. She had brain surgery. Um, she had a stroke. They didn't think that she was going to make it. I remember in the year 2000, they thought that she was going to die. And I was only 16 years old at that time. And, you know, they thought she was going to die, and she didn't.
mhm.
She lived up until 2019. She died on her birthday at 66 years old.
Wow.
Very young. But she lived and she kept going. And I remember what she told me. I went to go see her in the hospital. She was hooked up to all these tubes, and she had a scar from like here to here. And I just remember crying, in front of her. And she had a tube down her throat. And she looked at me, and she was trying to talk with the tube down her throat.
Mm.
like that's how close
Mhm.
my mom and I were.
Yeah.
And I could read what she was saying. She was like, "What's wrong?"
Mm.
And I couldn't really explain, like, "Mom, I'm looking at you with tubes down your throat, and your head is cut open. You have bandages around your head, and part of your body is swollen from the stroke and all this stuff." And she said, after she got out the hospital and she got released and all that stuff, she said what made her want to push forward is seeing me.
Mm. Mm.
And I remember telling her, "Hey, Mom, I was a junior at the time in high school." And I said, "Mom, I just want to see you. I just want you to see me graduate." She saw me graduate.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know God is real. God is powerful. He answered my prayer. I was like, and sometimes, we just ask God, like, we just ask him for the little things, right?
Mm.
So I said, "God, I just want her to see me graduate." I didn't think beyond graduation. 19 years after graduation, she was still here.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Wow.
I believe in God, and God is amazing. And I'm just thankful to have a mom who believed in me and who loved me unconditionally, no matter what. No matter if I'm gay, straight, bi, whatever, she loves me.
Mhm.
And I have never experienced a love like that ever. And that's why I call her my best friend, my twin, my queen. She was just such an amazing woman. And I miss her each and every day.
Indeed. Indeed. Question for you and stuff. And I said, thank you for sharing that with us, because
So,
all of us, have someone that,
yes.
that was there in our corner, someone who had our back and stuff. I know with that was your mother, me, it was my father, Al, I know you talk about your mother, the Queen,
Mhm.
as well. So I wanted to ask you this. What was your inspiration for that title? Is it liar, or say the acronym?
Love is a religion. Well, basically, I believe in love so much. God created love. God is love, and I would never give up on love. And I believe in it like it's its own religion. Like it's like I have so much faith in it. No matter how much my friends talk bad about it or they hate love, I still go and preach love and say, "Hey, love is amazing. It's life changing with the right person." It's life changing, and it can really blow your mind. And that's why I named it that title, "Love is a Religion," because I believe in love. It's so powerful. I think this country needs it a lot more. I believe if we loved one another more, we wouldn't have the issues we have now. So that's why I believe in love.
Right. Amen to that. So that being said, I have a question too. Like Al, I have a question I ask my authors,
Mhm.
and that is this. What advice would you give to your 13-year-old self coming from where you are now?
13-year-old me. Oh my God. I was just graduated from the 8th grade, going to freshman year. Um, to be more confident, to love yourself more. Um, Not everybody is going to like you or love you, agree with you, but don't let that change who you are. Don't let that make you doubt or second guess things. You know who you are. You are a beautiful person. You are an amazing person. You are a strong person. Keep going, keep pushing. Not every day is going to be a good day, but you know who you are. Stop doubting yourself. Stop waiting for people to say, yeah, that's good. If you feel it's good and you feel like you need to do it, then do it. Don't wait for people to tell you what to do and how to do it. You know how to do it. So
There
that's
you
what I
go.
will tell myself.
There
And to
you
just
go.
love myself more. Like just love yourself. Nobody can love you like you. Just love you.
That's right.
Let
Go ahead.
me focus on your name, King O-Haji. Talk about that name. What does it mean? How did it come about? And where does it take you? Where do you take it?
Well, King, I added that for my pen name because I believe we're all kings and queens. I believe we are all royalty and we need to treat ourselves as such. Ohaji is a name that was given to me by my mom, and it's Arabic. I'm not Arabic or anything, but my mother, being born in Mississippi, she didn't want me to have a typical Mississippi name.
Mhm.
She heard the name and she loved it, and it started off as Haji, and then I added the O like in 7th or 8th grade. So it's just started off as Haji, but it's Arabic. And when people go on the pilgrimage to Mecca,
Mhm.
it's called the Hajj, I believe.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then after they complete the pilgrimage, they're called Haji.
Mhm.
So that's where it came from. It has it's a big thing in Islam and all that stuff. And to be called Haji is amazing. And I didn't like it at first because being a young kid, you meet so many people with regular names, and then people
You
always
probably had to fight with that name, didn't you? That was that.
you said what?
You probably had to fight.
No, I really didn't. It
You
was just
didn't?
like
Okay.
people just didn't know how to pronounce it, or
Okay.
they just asked too many questions.
Mhm.
Even now, after everything that happened with 9/11 and stuff, I
Mhm.
still get questions, and I'm like, okay, I'm not Arabic, I'm not Muslim, I'm not any of that. But if I was, it shouldn't be a problem.
That's right.
That's my name.
Mhm. So the name, it seems to me, bears and takes you to a place of peace.
Yes.
And I think what I'm picking up in talking to you, brother, is that what you bring to the name is a feeling and a spirit of peace.
Yes.
And that's an awesome thing. So I started asking you too about your whose shoulders you stand on. You mentioned your mom. tell me more about your rest of your family, your grands, to the degree that you can. Your grands, your great grands, and not an Arab or not Arabic, but what do you know about your own, if you call it, Africanity? Do you see yourself as an African American? How do you assemble the world?
Oh,
And I got more questions down this line, so just flow with me on this.
okay. I see myself as I'm a mixture of things,
Mhm.
but I see myself as a Black American. Um, the only reason why I won't say African American is because I believe that African Americans are directly like, it's somebody who's in Africa right now and they come here and they get citizenship. That's an African American to me. Um, I love saying that I'm a Black American. I'm Black.
Mhm.
And I love just saying that. A lot of people don't like to say it. I'm Black.
Mhm.
And although on my mother's side is Native American, it's a lot of Native American. On my father's side is Black and white, but honestly, I am Black, and that's what I identify as. I was more closer to my mother's side of the family. My last name is Moncrief, so it has, some people say it's French, some people say it's Scottish. I don't know. I need to do a little bit more research, but I'm proud of my last name. I'm proud of my name. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my grandparents on both sides. Although I know more about my mother's side, I'm still proud of my grandfather and my grandmother on my father's side as well. But I was so close to my grandmother on my mother's side. I
Mhm.
lost her when I was 8 years old. Um, a beautiful woman, beautiful, beautiful woman. So caring, so giving. And I remember 1992, I was in Mississippi, and I was visiting family, and uh, that night, I went to go see I was sleeping at my grandmother's house, and she wasn't feeling well, and I went to sleep next to her. And what I remember is my mother came and got me and said, "Hey, get up, let's go into the next room." I guess something was going on. I was so young at the time. I really didn't know. So I went back to sleep. I woke up that morning, my grandmother was gone.
Wow.
She had a massive heart attack.
Sorry.
Oh.
She died in my mother's arms.
Mm. So you were given a gift
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
time with her,
Yeah.
and you were, in a sense, part of her transition
Yes.
to becoming an ancestor.
Yes.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And so, both of you, brothers, we're in a critical space. The first conversation about the election,
Mhm.
and if you don't mind, how does the sense of where we are with the elections next week impact how you move in the world? What do you think the consequences are? You may be a Republican for all I know, and if you are, God bless you. I'm not, but I wouldn't begrudge you. I'm presuming you're and hoping you're not, but I raise the question with the respect, saying that if you are, then I have to respect that. But how does this political environment look to you, and what do you see as your role, meaning our role, in shaping destiny, and how this vote ties into it? And I'd like for all three of us to have that discussion. But Brother King, would you first?
Well, I'm really concerned. I think that I haven't been so concerned in my life when it came to an election. I'm Democrat, but even if I was Republican, I would still be voting for Kamala. Yeah, I just the other person, I just feel like is very chaotic, and I believe he thrives off of chaos, and it's very divisive, and it's not good for our country. Our country didn't start off so good, So even with the "Make America Great Again," I'm like, when was it ever that great?
Mhm.
We can make it great, but when was it ever that great?
Mhm.
Just coming from slavery and just being a Black person, and our ancestors having to suffer and everything that they went through. And, you know, even people coming over here and taking the land away from the Native Americans and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But when was it ever great? It was built off Black people backs and Native Americans back and um, and immigrants backs. So
Mhm.
for him to even treat people that's not like him the way that he treat them and the things that he say, and even that comedian that was talking about Puerto Rico and all that stuff,
Mhm.
it's disgusting. It's sad. Um, I believe that I'm trying to say it in a nice way. People who vote for
Oh,
him,
you don't have to be nice. Don't be nice.
people who vote for him, bless them.
Okay. You be-
I want to say something else, but I'm not, because I'm just bless them. But I have unfriended many people who voted for him, who have been
Mm,
friends with me since high school,
mhm.
and I'm trying to tell them, no candidate is perfect. We're not perfect.
Right.
Nobody is perfect. God has no respectable person on this earth. None of us is perfect. None of us is without sin. None of us. Um, every one of us has made a mistake, but Kamala is the right person to vote for. She's
The
for us.
WD, what are your thoughts? How are you navigating through this? And what are
Well,
you hearing in the circles, you know, the literary circles and community circles you're in?
well, it's like this. You see, like we are at a crossroads here, and democracy is literally on the line. That can never be overstated. It is literally on the line. And the thing is, with number 45, that's what I say, has never been our friend. That is abundantly clear, and it's so important that we make our voices heard by getting out to the polling places. Get out there early, because when the polling
Mhm.
places were open in Minnesota on the 20th, I was there to vote on the 23rd. I say, because that's where we make the most difference, and to encourage our community, get out there early. And I happen to listen to hear Kamala's closing remarks. There is no question about who the best candidate is. She is prepared. She is a detailed plan to support us. Number 45, well, we all know who that is, because the person keeps telling us who they is. So in words of Maya Angelou, when someone's telling you who they are, believe them the first time.
So brothers, what happens? You know, let me be the what's the right word for it? The kind of the negative voice here. What happens on November 6th when they decide they're not going to wait till January 6th this time, that they're going to go buck wild against the will of the people, that they say that they believe that the popular vote and hopefully the electoral vote for Kamala Harris was rigged or fraud, and they take action. What are we going to do? What are you going to do? But God forbid. Uh, King, have you thought about it? Are you thinking about it? Or do you think that's overstating? Do you think that really cooler heads are going to prevail, that there won't be a problem?
Honestly, I don't want to think about it. I've been trying to not think about it, but I feel like um, they need to be prepared.
Mhm. I mean,
And
I think that so I'm talking Mississippi to Mississippi now.
okay,
I and Sister talked about it from Alabama. A lot of people still waiting for the South to rise again. They ain't talking about us.
Hmm.
They're talking about the Confederacy, and they don't think that war is over. It's been in a pause for 100 years, and they still want their chance to come up. And what that means is, you know, putting them in a position of supremacy, lording, ruling over immigrants, Black people, brown people, everybody that's not part of what they define as the chosen. What are we going to do about that?
well, like you said, Al, earlier, we're not going backwards,
Sure.
and we won't allow that to happen. I feel like we're in a different space now.
That's right.
Our ancestors were beaten and taken advantage of in so many ways. This is 2024. We are stronger and we are better, and we won't allow that to happen. I'm in Georgia, and let me tell you, Atlanta won't allow that to happen. Like WD said, he voted like the second day for early voting. I did the same thing here in Atlanta.
I did as
I was
well.
out and I voted, and I was proud to vote. And when I walked into the voting facility, all I saw was Black people that was working the polls, and I was just so happy. And they saw me walk in. I had my 1983 vintage hat on because I was born in 1983. I'm 41, and they were just smiling at me, and it made me feel so proud. Like, you know, so many people died for us to vote. So many people back in the day, they couldn't vote. So I had my head up high, and it felt so good just to walk in there and see people like me smiling at me.
Mm.
And it was so many people walking in voting early. I think they said so far 3 million people in Georgia voted early.
Amazing.
That's a record.
Yeah.
You know, so people aren't playing, you know, and I just hope they're voting for the right candidate. And we both know it's Kamala. And that's all I got.
WD, I'm gonna let you close the show with the mic drop. WD, when we fight,
we win.
There we go.
Oh,
thank
quick.
you.
Oh, let Cat go and let know where can we get your book?
Oh, you can get my book on Amazon. So go to Amazon.com and you can get Liar right there. Just type in my name, King O-Haji, or just type in Liar, Love is a Religion, and you can get my book there. It comes in hardcover, paperback, and also with Kindle, you know, so check it out. And thank you so much for your support. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm so happy to be here.
And there it is. And when the next book comes out, got to come back.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. I can't wait.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, WD. I'm Al McFarlane. This is The Conversation with Al McFarlane. We'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.